Hey guys, my name is Daniel Fennell. This is my video blog. This is my daily Bible reading video blog. And the goal here is to read the Bible every day and do a little video blog, hopefully for the purpose of two things. Number one, to do a daily video blog and get used to being in front of the camera. And number two, to do my daily Bible reading. Plus to retain as much as I can, because you learn more when you teach. So I don't know who would watch this, but this is my way of teaching other people what the Bible says, or at least what I've learned. I mean, there's some things that I might have skipped over and might have not taken up or picked up any of the detail. So yesterday what we talked about was Nehemiah chapter 4 through chapter 6. And it was the rebuilding of the wall, and you had two different villains that showed up. You had Sanballat and Tobiah, and they didn't want the wall to be rebuilt. But Nehemiah, he persisted. He prayed for them, but he asked God that they would have the strength to tarry on, to get through it, to see the wall to completion, and that's exactly what happened. So now we're picking up in chapter 7, and what I read today was the final touches that Nehemiah needed to do in the beginning of chapter 7 to get the walls prepared to have people move back into the city of Jerusalem. And part of that was he needed to appoint someone to govern over Jerusalem. So he appointed his brother. And the reason why he appointed his brother is because he was the most qualified, and he was a God-fearing man, out of the most God-fearing man that he found. Now, there was also another person. His name was Hananiah, and he was the governor of the castle. And so he had Hananiah and Hananiah. I don't know why the names are so closely sounding related. He had them be in charge of the city of Jerusalem. So the next part is the Bible explains that Nehemiah he had a desire to get people that had been exiled back when Nebuchadnezzar was king to come back to Jerusalem. So what he did is he found a book, a genealogy book. Now the Israelites, they were notorious for taking records. They had a record of how many people had been exiled out of Jerusalem at the time when Nebuchadnezzar was king. So that was the book that he found. The reason why is because they had just rebuilt the walls, and the Bible explains that the walls were the city was vast and it was big, but there were few inhabitants. As a matter of fact, just to back up a little bit, there were so few inhabitants that he gave them, Nehemiah gave them instructions to only have the city gates open during the afternoon, because that was the least likely time that any attack or any breach anybody could infiltrate the inside of the city walls. So he finds this book of genealogy, and he reads through it. Now, the Bible, it goes from chapter 5 to chapter 65. So that's 60 verses. Sorry, from verse 5 to verse 65. That's 60 verses of different people that had been exiled out of Jerusalem during the time of Nebuchadnezzar. Now, at the next part, you have chapter 66. You have Nebuchadnezzar. He totals it up how many people have been exiled, and it totals out to 42,360 people. If you were to piece it all together, it's pretty amazing. I'm sure there's some significance. At least there might be some significance. So after he reads the genealogy, there is through the laws of Moses, there is a feast that's about to happen. It's about that time. It's the seventh. It's like a 7-day feast during the 7th month of the year. So this feast is coming upon them. They had just rebuilt the walls, and so he asks Ezra, who's the high priest, to read out loud the laws of Moses. So you have all of the Jews in Jerusalem. You have them coming from different cities to come and assemble in the walls of Jerusalem. Now, they haven't been able to do this in a long time. So a lot of people that are coming, they haven't heard the laws of Moses. Well, part of the laws of Moses, Ezra, he begins to read the laws of Moses, and the Israelites, they were listening to this, and the Bible explains that they started to weep, they started to cry, because they were in this city, the city of David. They were in there, and it was a significant time for the laws to be read in Jerusalem, and especially surrounding just an amazing thing that just happened, where the Israelites rebuilt the walls within 52 days, especially right in time for this feast to happen. So as Ezra or Nehemiah, he tells them, everybody, this day is holy, go and have a feast. After Ezra reads the book of the laws of Moses, he read it from the early morning until the afternoon. He tells them, everybody, go and have a feast, drink wine, and tonight it's a celebration. So that's exactly what they did. The next day, the Israelites come back to learn more about what the laws of Moses says, and they learned that in the laws of Moses, that the Israelites were instructed to go and get olive branches and leaves and build for themselves booths, which are actually, it's like little tiny huts, during the duration of this celebration, to live among these huts, inside of these huts, so they would have a place to stay. So that's what they did. They went out and they got olive branches and leaves, and they built these little huts for themselves while they were learning or listening to the high priest read the laws of Moses. So here's the takeaway from reading Nehemiah chapter 7 and chapter 8. What I learned is, you have a man who fears God more than he fears the people around him, the opposition, and he creates this environment that it mirrored what the earlier Israelites, how they lived, how they followed the laws of Moses. And you have this new generation that they're hearing the laws of Moses for the first time, some of them, and they're being reminded of their heritage. They're being reminded of what the book of laws says, and it's touching them because they understand the significance of what it means. So it's just amazing to see how time and time again you have the Israelites, they fall away, they forget, and then they're brought back to remembering what the laws of Moses were, or what God's laws were for this people. It's amazing to see this. This is a time when they're brought back, and now they're, for the first time, or first time in a long time, they're hearing the laws of Moses, and it means so much to them. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next chapter. I don't know if it's Nehemiah keeps going, but like I said, this is my daily Bible reading, and I'm learning as I go, and this is kind of a snippet of everything that I've learned. All right, so thanks for watching, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Take care. Bye. Daniel Fennell signing off.